Hey guys, Ryan Earnhardt here from CreativeSoundLab.tv. Today we're going to be talking about stereo bus compression, how I have it hooked in, and how I like to set the compression on a stereo mix. It's not exactly that easy. A lot of this is stuff that I've been experimenting with, so I'd love to walk you through how I apply a compressor in my chain and the settings that I like to use on a whole mix. Now, the idea behind this is that you want to be performing to the compressor. That's really important. You don't just want to throw this on a mix. You could do that, but you'll notice that your balances will change. Now, this whole technique I've learned from Mixerman. He's talked me through it. I've seen him do it many times, so I've really observed and been influenced by him and how he has his own setup. Now he has analog summing, and with this I have logic set up here. I have various buses, overhead, room. Everything is summed in the box, and it goes out to an outboard compressor. The output of this goes into a monitor track in Logic. So I'm not just going to record this blindly into my DAW. I'm going to set up a track, recording it on 1 and 2, listening on 7 and 8. Input monitoring, great. Record enable, great. I can listen to not only the compressor, but also the coloration of the converter as well. That's how we're listening, that's how we're mixing. That is what we are being inspired by when we make our decisions. It's kind of like a guitarist that hooks into one amp and then you switch the amp on him, and he might play it a little bit differently based on what he hears from that amp. So if I had this at +2 at 16, then I want to perform and make different decisions, let's say in my drum overheads, if this were in. Now, if this were out, then I might actually boost a little bit my overheads. My settings here: slow attack at 30, fast release at 0.1, ratio at 1.5, looking to go about 2 to 3 dB of reduction there. So let's have a listen to this and see how it sounds. So as far as dialing in a compressor for a whole mix, it can be kind of difficult and a bit touchy sometimes. You don't want to make the mix too small. If you go too far, you can start to hear the compression. You want to have a kind of a strengthening effect to the mix, but you don't want to drag the mix down and make it sound like it's getting weighed down. So for me, my kind of favorite approach to this, and again, inspired by my friend Mixerman, he goes with a 30 and a fast release. And it sounds great. It adds sustain to like the guitars at this point. It lets the drums through with this slow of an attack. I think it works really well. Now, any faster, you start to get into more drum bus territory where you're kind of smoothing out transients and kind of affecting them a little more. But for a stereo mix, I really like the 30, and I like a fast release. Now, for ratio, it really can depend. I think that the 1.5 and the 2 sound great. For stereo mixes, I think the 4 and the 10 are just too aggressive. I think that I would much rather dig into the compressor a little more at a 1.5 than to kind of hit the peaks at 4, for example, or 10. I'm sure every compressor is different. So again, I'm just reacting to the Crim here, just turning knobs and responding to what it's giving me as feedback. So that's really how I set compression for a stereo mix. Let's hear a little bit of it. Okay, first I'll manipulate the attack settings. So this would require an adjustment on threshold. I would never just turn one thing and then let it cook. I would adjust the threshold to compensate to keep it about 2 to 3 dB reduction.
Sees those girls as his own, and if anyone would know, Ted would know. 'Cause he walked these city streets alone, looking for dirty love.
I guess I don't mind that. I just don't want to lose the transients from the drums though.
City streets alone, looking for dirty love.
No compression. Okay, now release times.
He walks these city streets alone, looking for dirty love. He walks these city streets alone. Yeah, he's looking for dirty love.
I like that. It adds some apparent loudness. Now let's go up higher ratios.
You're looking for a man, kinda loner. Keeps it all on the down low. The kind of guy that can't leave those girls alone.
Definitely digging in a little more.
He thinks himself like Jesus. Sees those girls as his own. And if anyone would know, Ted would know. 'Cause he walked these city streets alone, looking for dirty love.
If this were my setting here, I would react in a way that would cause me to turn down that kick drum.
For dirty love.
Obviously a totally different approach.
He walks these city streets alone. Yeah, he's looking for dirty love.
So you really don't have to move the needle that much to get a sense of strength and kind of some glue going on in the mix. Okay, so kind of our final stage of doing this is once we've finished our mix and we're ready to send this along to the client, we go ahead and make notes of any of the settings. Usually for this creme, I like these settings as is. They're kind of a standard for me, so I'll have no problem recalling this. From here, you want to make sure to actually name your track that you're recording into. So we're going to record the performance or the mix out of the compressor going into the track right here. This song's called GRK. I have no idea what that means, but that's the name of the song. And this way, when we record the song, it'll record that sound of the compressor into the track, and that actual file name will be our final mix. We don't have to export from here. We can go into our folder and actually pick this out of a group of different files. This way we can save on, any more exporting, because this is what we're doing right here, is we're basically creating our render of the mix. Okay, I'd love to know what you think. This is definitely new territory for me. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this. I'll be hanging out in the comments below.